Okay, I have been wanting to post this for a minute, and my life is just a lot right now, so I haven't had the chance to do it. But here is what I want to talk about. So, we founded a school from late 2015 until we opened it in 2018. That was how long it took to jump through all the hoops that Tennessee requires for a private school that has no government intervention. And the reason why, the reason why I didn't want government intervention is because I have nothing for either party in this country. And I also have major problems with the school system. And, I'm back in the school system after 12 years of being out of the traditional school system. And, there have been some changes, but none of them are the transformational, radical changes that are inevitable for us to sustain ourselves as a human species on the planet. So, but with all of this rigmarole around Republican fascists and Democrats who aren't actually a balance of right and left and never have been, I thought this would be a fun time to share a metaphor or a simile. Yeah, it has like or as in it, so it's a simile, that I used to share with my families that were interested in self-directed education, unschooling, the model of a democratic self-directed learning model school. Okay, so to be upfront about the model that we decided to start, it was called a Sudbury model, and it was based off of the Sudbury Valley School, which is in Massachusetts, and definitely has libertarian tendencies. But they based their school off of a school called Summer Hill in England that was entirely circular and consensus based. And that's the one that I fell in love with. But I needed back then I needed just a model that already existed. And so I took the Sudbury model, because I wanted the small town participatory democracy ideals, which failed because the Sudbury model is built off of the actual 3-branch system that exists in the United States today. And it was based off of that 3-branch system, which was twisted and turned into this punishment-based system by colonists who looked at the Haudenosaunee Iroquois democratic process, which you can look up. The Iroquois, there were 7 nations, and they practiced a form of democracy that was circular, that then the colonists usurped and then put their own dysfunction and patriarchy into. And then that became our 3-party system. So the school that we built was built off of that colonialist model, okay? At the time, I didn't really have the clarity. I knew I wanted revolutionary change. I knew I wanted micro communities of young people learning how their voice was valuable in small communities. I had not studied or didn't have the depth of understanding of the original Iroquois model that was stolen by our founding fathers. I learned that more and more as I went deeper into this world, and I also connected more deeply to indigenous wisdom and learned like how colonialists usurped that. So all of that said, but what I'm about to say, my simile still holds true. Okay. So people would come in and they'd be like, well, what is this? What is this school? How is it a school? What, is it like a Montessori or like a Reggio? And so this is what I would tell them. I would say, so the traditional school system, public and private, is basically the Republican Party. They do not mince words. They tell you up front, straight up, that we are wanting your compliance. We are going to teach you exactly what the fuck we want to teach you, and you don't get a say in it. As a member of any community, no. And in fact, those in control get a say, and that's why oftentimes we don't hear the full story historically of like the truth of how like U.S. history lived itself out. And so the traditional school system leans pretty closely to the Republican Party. Okay. They're open about it. They're not hidden, right? Now, the Democratic Party, I like to say, is a Montessori school or a Reggio school. These schools, in the end, have the same outcome that the traditional schools want. They want you learning something that they have said is valuable, and something that they have said is valuable. And the thing about the Montessori and the Reggio is that they just change the way you learn it, and they make it more your choices. Like, you get choices. Like a Montessori school, you get to choose what order you want to learn the thing in, but at the end of the week, you still have to learn all the things that they tell you you're supposed to learn, right? So that is the Democratic Party, because in the end, the Republican and the Democratic Party, they want you to comply with the things that they have chosen top down for you to learn about in the way that they want you to learn about it. And then they're going to quiz you and test you and assess you based on that. So Republican Party / traditional school model, they just tell you. And if you step out of line, then you're punished. Montessori model, they give you choices, but in the end, they want the same thing done, everybody to finish at the end of the week, and everybody gets graded and assessed in the same way on the same things. They just let you meander as you get there, but they still want you to comply with what they think is the thing that you should be learning. Now, I say that the self-directed model of schools, where the children get to play and follow their own interests, and then if things are just supporting their interests in the long game, and they get to have a say in how they want to be treated in community, and they have a say in how we are going to take care of one another, and how we're going to hold people accountable. All of that is determined by the community, which includes students and whatever adults are involved. Okay, and it's multi-age and levels. That is the revolution. That is the radical care. That is this idea of being radically individuated. You get to be and choose to learn and do what feels correct for you, and then community care based, because then it's supported by your micro community, by the school community, or by whatever. Now, it requires a lot of trust. It requires the voices of everyone, and it requires a circular model. Now, where we went wrong with the Sudbury School is we made that idea into 3 branches, and we had like a school meeting that happened every week, and we passed laws as a community. And then our accountability model, rather than a circular consensus where everyone comes together to figure out what the plan is going to be to like help the person be more connected in community, we turned it into a court system. And the same things that happen in our court system here began to happen in the smaller court system, because it's a broken model that doesn't work. And it doesn't matter how good the people are that are a part of it, it still gets warped into patriarchy, because it's a hierarchical system where there are people judging other people. Now, judgment and expectations are still a part of the circular model. They are just not, it's just a different energy. And the expectation is presented differently. So when I'm saying that the school system and the way that most people have their kids like being indoctrinated into school is through either a traditional Republican-based controlling model, or a like more like fluid, like Waldorf, Reggio, Montessori, where there may be different things that are being learned, but expectations are similar. Now, and I don't know about Waldorf. Waldorf, I think, is like very much nature-based. I don't know. I don't know if I can put Waldorf in, because I actually have no understanding. I've never looked at a Waldorf model. I don't know what they're learning. I don't know how they're assessed. I don't know if they have to do regular assessments, and have to jump these specific hoops throughout the course of the week. My assumption is that they do within the curriculum that they've created. So, all right, that is what I wanted to say. Now, how that relates to what's happening politically in 2025 is that the Republican and Democratic Party are not the same. But what has happened in the Republican Party over the past 50 years is directly because of how the Democratic Party has been sitting with their thumb stuck up their asses for 50 years. And a beautiful example of that, like, just incompetence, willful incompetence, is what happened with this vote of these 8 Democrats in the Senate this week. Like, I mean, that just like ties it up with a bow. People that know me know that I have, consistently been like, Democrats continue to allow fascism to permeate every facet of American life. And they bow down to capital. And capitalism in fascism have really like connected and bonded. And that's because Democrats have allowed it to be so. So I am a social anarchist. I am a democratic socialist. I am not a communist. I want to have my own things, and I want freedom. I want the freedom to be whoever the fuck I want to be, and to have that which lights me up, but not at the expense of literally other beings on the planet. So, and I don't think this is a person-to-person thing. These are systemic issues that need to be dealt with systemically. And right now, humans and nature, the earth, is at the bottom of the care model of for who's in charge. And the Democratic Party as a whole, top up, top down, is not supporting the beings that are at the base of this pyramid, this hierarchical pyramid. And democratic socialists are. So your, Mom Dommies, your Afton Baines, your Bernie Sanders, they are fighting for a different model, a different way. A way that we were like 80 years ago in the United States. The way that we were during World War II. But like now we can just not be racist. But also acknowledging that like we were a bunch of racists back then. So can we be democratic socialists and anti-racist? Can we do it? Can we weave together the best of America with the America that has not existed yet? That's what I want. I want all of the best parts of the American dream, which was just how we take care of one another, was just how we hunker down and come together and make sacrifices during the wars. And then also take care of one another regardless of where we came from or the color of our skin. Like we did when immigration was at its height in the 1800s. But then release this colorism and racism and just be here for everyone. Anyway, it's a pipe dream, but I live in the imaginal realm where it exists, and we are able to do it en masse because it happens on a small scale. And I want to lift it into the everyday mundane. I want these to be the mundane things. Gosh, those ravens, they're huge. Okay. I think that's all I want to share for now. Thanks for listening. Enjoy all the little beautiful, magical things that are happening to you every day, because all of that feeling, everything that you're experiencing, man, that can be lifted up and brought to the macro. So live into it on the micro so that it can be brought to the macro. Cheers, y'all.